If Ontario is back at the Metis National Council, MMF will withdraw and leave the Metis National Council.
Tonight, an Ontario court case could spell the end of the Metis National Council as we know it.
Today, we are not here to topple any statues. We're here to topple a government that is racist. A government that has no place in this legislature.
Tough talk from Indian Act chiefs on the steps of the Manitoba legislature.
That got with escorting and webcam work, which led into massage work, and then which led to escorting and working outside.
And an Alberta group is taking some big steps to stop human trafficking. Good evening, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Daryl Stranger. The Battleford Agency tribal chiefs held a ceremony at the Delmas residential school site in June, and over the weekend started a ground-penetrating radar search for unmarked graves, an event open to the public. APTN's Priscilla Wolf has the story.
When I came here, there was no love. When I came here, there was punishment for being who I am.
This is FSIN Senator Jenny Spyglass. She is a survivor of the Delmas Thunderchild Residential School. Spyglass will be 80 in November, and she remembers how she was punished for hugging her brothers while at the school.
I remember I seen my brother Martin and my brother Reggie, the one that passed away in here. I remember they were across. Nobody was going to stop me. I ran right across. I ran to my brothers. I hugged both of them. I hugged them. Just for hugging my brothers, they put me in a basement. They locked me up there. I didn't know if I was going to come out. I was sweating. I remember I was crying. I fell asleep. I was hungry. I wanted water. And I kept yelling and yelling, and somebody came and took me out from there.
Delmas was run by the Roman Catholic Church from 1901 till 1948, when it burned down. Karen Whitecalf says they started the process of searching the area in June by holding a ceremony. SNC Lavalin offered to search the area for unmarked graves at no cost.
As you can see, the SNC are right now doing a ground penetrating radar. Once they've collected the data, they will report back to the tribal council, and we will share the information with everybody, because we made this public because we're tired of keeping secrets. Canada kept us a secret for so long.
Whitecalf says it's important to have the search open to the public.
It's time that these secrets are revealed and to be shared with everybody, to be shared with the public, with our First Nations, with Delmas. So this is the first stage, and this is the first stage of healing. I feel a very good energy here.
Spyglass, who attended the search over the weekend, says it's important to let people know the truth. And she says our youth need to be grateful for family.
Young people, just be thankful. You have parents, you have loved ones with you.
She adds that she now has her identity back, that the residential schools did not break her, even though her little brother Reggie never made it home. She is glad that she gave him that last hug.
Today, I'm proud of who I am. I got my culture back. I speak my language.
It's not known when the results of the search will be made public. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, former Delmas school site, Saskatchewan.
Fallout from comments made by Manitoba government officials continued at a rally held this weekend in Winnipeg. Close to 100 people gathered on the front steps of the Manitoba Legislative Building to protest against inaccuracies on residential school history and Bill 64. The rally was planned after the new Minister of Indigenous Affairs, Alan Lajumandier, said in a press conference Thursday that the architects of residential schools thought they were doing the right thing. That followed comments by Premier Brian Pallister of colonists having good intentions after Canada Day protests saw 2 Queen statues fall. And First Nation leaders in Manitoba called for action Monday about those comments, calling on provincial officials to resign. The Summit of Treaty 5 Sovereign Nations in Manitoba unveiled an action plan to respond to hate crimes and racism. One of the goals includes developing a report on hate crimes and racism and reporting them to the United Nations. And their frustrations with the Pallister government was on full display.
Today, we are not here to topple any statues. We're here to topple a government that is racist. A government that has no place in this legislature. Manitobans do not agree with Pallister. Most Manitobans do not agree with his ideologies. So I say unto this government, why don't you just resign? It'll be good for Manitoba.
The Roman Catholic Diocese of Calgary has made a commitment to financially support residential school survivors. Following the discoveries of graves across the country, the Calgary Diocese released a statement announcing that they will be giving funding to support survivors and those dealing with intergenerational trauma caused by residential schools. The amount of funding has not yet been released. Further details about the contribution are expected to be announced in September. Human trafficking is a quickly growing concern around the world, and Canada is no exception. The Action Coalition on Human Trafficking Alberta are offering online seminars to raise awareness and to offer help to those still trapped. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
Human trafficking worldwide is a very big business. It is estimated that over $150 billion a year is made from human trafficking in the sex and labor trades. Each victim can provide as much as $350,000 in profits in Canada. The Action Coalition on Human Trafficking Alberta's goal is to stop the exploitation. The nonprofit is offering monthly online seminars to educate the public. In Canada, there were about 50 reported cases in 2009. There were over 500 in 2019. That's a 10 times increase. And Indigenous youth are being targeted. According to ACT Alberta, at least a fifth of the victims are Indigenous. Jessica Brandon is the acting executive director of ACT Alberta.
There are reports and continue to be reports of Indigenous women, girls, and even boys and men coming to the city and being exploited, hoping for, whether it's they're coming to the city for education or just, to move into the big city because it's fun to do. It's happening and continues to happen.
Many victims become trapped by boyfriends, like Angela Morris, who was brought into the sex trade at 17 years old.
That got with escorting and webcam work, which led into massage work, and then which led to escorting and working outside.
When Morris escaped decades ago, she says there were no supports like ACT Alberta to help her. She wants victims still trapped to know help is there. She now works as a certified life and mindset coach.
And I am dedicated and have dedicated my life to be of service, especially to this kind of movement, to the rescue, and help, to be of guidance to people, to women, even men who are and were in my situation, to let them know that it's okay and there is a safe place and there are resources to seek and not to give up.
Jessica Brandon says to reach out.
If you're experiencing this, be safe and please reach out. Whether it's ACT Alberta, whether it's a community organization that has that awareness of human trafficking, of exploitation, reach out. If it's safe to do so, please reach out.
There is a 24/7 toll-free national human trafficking hotline to call. The number is 1-833-900-1010. ACT Alberta is offering another free seminar on August 19th. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Tuesday is a big day in court for the Métis Nation of Ontario and the Metis National Council. A decision could come down that would set in place a domino effect that could see the Manitoba Métis Federation pull out of MNC. The MNO initiated the court proceedings earlier this year against the MNC and its president Clément Chartier in an effort to be reinstated. The MNO was suspended by MNC in January of 2020 over its citizenship. In a letter to the national organization, Ontario President Margaret Froh said, quote, "The MNC is effectively controlled by Mr. Chartier and MMF President David Chartrand, along with a handful of consultants," unquote. MMF President David Chartrand says the MNC may not exist in its current form after tomorrow.
If Ontario comes back to the table, my assembly of 3,000 people told me point blank, if Ontario is back at the Metis National Council, MMF will withdraw and leave the Metis National Council and stand on our own.
Canada's Commissioner of Official Languages has announced he will launch an investigation into the appointment of Mary Simon as Governor General after receiving hundreds of complaints based on the fact that she cannot speak French well. A statement issued reads in part, "In my opinion, this demonstrates that linguistic duality continues to be an important value for Canadians. We have analyzed the complaints received to date and have determined that they are admissible. My investigation will focus on the Privy Council office and its advisory role on this appointment. Given the large volume of complaints we have received, this may take several days." Simon has said a federal school she attended as a child prevented her from learning French and promised to improve her language skills. She is set to be sworn in on July 26th. We have to take a short break, but still ahead, out-of-control fires continue to burn in Ontario. We'll bring you an update when we come back. Welcome back. A Six Nations-led occupation of a now cancelled housing development in southern Ontario hit the one-year mark today. Our web reporter Brett Forster has covered the standoff at 1492 Landback Lane since it started. He joins us now from Ottawa to bring us up to date. Brett, thanks for joining us. What's the significance of today's anniversary?
Well, blockades and land occupations are one of the most common tactics that First Nations often take when asserting rights or resisting the colonial state, and blockades and occupations tend to only last for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, just because when you disobey the state, when you engage in civil disobedience, you tend to bear the full brunt of the state's criminal justice system, and that's what's happened here. The OPP has spent $16.3 million in just 6 months, so that's only half the time. They could be up near $30 million right now. So it takes substantial determination to maintain a land occupation like this in the face of that kind of opposition. So by hitting 1 year, this would already become one of the longest running land occupations in Canadian history. But of course, we know this site in Caledonia is just down the road from the site where the contentious 2006 land occupation played out, which remains unresolved, and so too do the underlying issues in this case.
And so, Brett, what happens next now that this project has been stopped?
Well, those underlying issues are going to have to be addressed, and the arena is going to change. It's going to stop playing out in the streets and on construction sites, and the arena is going to become the courtroom and the boardroom. There's been a number of lawsuits launched in the wake of this occupation. One of them was launched by Foxgate Developments. They seek a declaration that they have good title. They seek $200 million from the government and the OPP, and they seek $20 million from the activists accused of violating an injunction and thwarting this development. So there's a lot of questions that remain to be addressed there. Who's liable? They have a $20 million institutional mortgage attached to this property. Who's responsible for that? Was this a bad business decision, or are the governments going to have to pay? Well, that's a decision for the courts right now. And of course, the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council has their own lawsuit that's set to come up in October 2022. Meanwhile, negotiations to actually talk about some of these issues are nowhere to be seen.
So how might this dispute impact development in that area in the future?
I think you can be fairly certain that you're going to see a chill on development, at least in the immediate area around Six Nations and Caledonia, and in between the two areas. Following the conflict in 2006, as I mentioned, there was just that sort of chill. The Mackenzie Meadows Phase 1 development was approved in 2003, and a previous developer actually put it on ice in 2006 following that conflict. And there were a number of lawsuits that played out after that, and it was sold in 2015 to a new developer who rehabilitated the project and finally got some shovels in the dirt in 2019, and now that's been halted. So everything is kind of up in the air. There's a moratorium on development that's been declared by traditional chiefs, and we'll see if the government is going to respect that or not.
And Brett, you've also reported some new details today. What can you tell us about that?
Well, in the past, I've relied on the provincial and federal access to information systems to get some information that wouldn't be otherwise available. Among them, the amount of money the OPP has paid, CSIS intelligence gathering. What I'm reporting on today is the contents of a federal briefing note from January that shines some light on what exactly the government was doing while all this law enforcement activity was happening. And the answer is essentially nothing. The federal government shared a discussion paper with Ontario in November 2020. At the height of the blockades, it took Ontario 2 months to reply to this discussion paper about a proposed meeting. And even when it did come back, Ottawa wasn't even sure if the Ontario officials' responses actually agreed with what his deputy minister or minister thought. So really, they were kind of just, it's really some evidence of some of the bureaucratic inertia that they were often accused of by all sides during this conflict.
All right, Brett, thanks for joining us. That is APTN's Brett Forster joining us from Ottawa.
Thanks, Daryl.
The Northern Ontario communities of Pikangikum First Nation, Deer Lake First Nation, and the Poplar Hill First Nation have been evacuated because of out-of-control fires. At least 30 fires in northwestern Ontario are out of control. One fire, 16,000 hectares in size, is now only 7 kilometers from the Poplar Hill First Nation. A bigger fire, almost 50,000 hectares, is 24 kilometers west of the Deer Lake First Nation. The area is not expected to see any possible rain until Friday. And the fires are prompting calls for communities in the region to host First Nation evacuees. Ontario NDP MPP Saul Mamakwa took to social media this week to ask for help. He joins us now. Hi Saul, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about the latest on the fires that are there?
Today, I know there was some, last night there was some rain that came across the northwestern Ontario, but comes with rain is thunder and lightning. So we're very hopeful, but I know there's 3 communities that have been evacuated, Deer Lake, also Poplar Hill, which are full evacuations. Pikangikum is a partial evacuation for the vulnerable members of the community, and Red Lake, municipality of Red Lake, they're in a high alert, so the fires are very close to these communities. So there's a lot of heavy smoke in northwestern Ontario.
So how traumatic has this been for the people that are in the area?
The separation of families is very traumatic in anything, like, the young families, the children, the elders, and so that's what's happening because of limited access to beds and host communities and throughout Ontario. And I think when we talk about health, when we talk about mental health and security, and because they don't have much to bring, they are asked to bring very small bags and they don't have too much time to pack. So it's a very traumatic experience for anyone to come out and like that in a very short time frame.
Saul, your tweet said the evacuations are on hold until municipalities volunteer to host. Is that still the case?
I said that because I tweeted that out because there was a community of Pikangikum had said that their evacuations were on hold just because there was very limited to access to beds or host communities that have these wraparound services of mental health, and security and other issues that they may need to have. And so it was very, at that time, this particular community, their evacuation was on hold, but there were others that had been planned already that were set for to go elsewhere, such as far as Cornwall.
All right, Saul, that's all the time we have for you. I wanted to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to speak with us.
All right, thanks for having me.
An Indigenous potato chip company has just struck a huge deal to stock their product across Canada. Details after the break. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. With record temperatures across Canada over the past month, many viewers are spending time at the beach. Esme Mackey shared this great shot of a sunrise over Van Wagner Beach in Hamilton, Ontario. If you have a picture you want featured on APTN National News, whether it be your community, family, or anything else, send them to share@aptn.ca along with the description and location of the photo. And now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting in the east, 25 degrees and rain in Charlottetown and 24 and rain in Halifax. 15 and a mix of sun and cloud in Nain and 22 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. 19 degrees and rain in Val-d'Or and 25 and rain in Montreal. 29 and rain in Toronto and 24 and rain in North Bay. 20 and rain in Timmins and 22 and rain in Thunder Bay. 25 and sunshine in Churchill and 24 and sunshine in Thompson. 24 and clouds in Gimli and 20 in Dauphin. 26 in rain in Regina and 27 in North Battleford. 21 in Stony Rapids and 21 in La Ronge. Over in the west, 20 in rain in Fort McMurray and 20 in rain in Peace River. 20 in rain in Red Deer and 30 degrees in Medicine Hat. 32 and sunshine in Kamloops and 24 in Quesnel. 20 degrees and rain in Dees Lake and 19 in Smithers. 29 and cloudy in Dawson and 29 in sunshine in Old Crow. 23 in a mix of sun and cloud in Yellowknife and 29 in Norman Wells. 28 and sunshine in Fort McPherson and 26 in sunshine in Colville Lake. 17 degrees in Chesterfield and 22 in Arviat. 9 degrees in Iqaluit and 7 degrees in Clyde River. Tomahawk Chips, a made in northern Manitoba success story, is celebrating a big deal today. The potato chip maker is based in Riverton, Manitoba, 120 kilometers north of Winnipeg. They inked a huge deal to stock their products on store shelves across Canada. Here at St. Leon's Market in Winnipeg, they are selling like hotcakes. Their distinctive bags are designed by Indigenous artists whose work is promoted through the snack sales. Entrepreneur Alfred Lee is from the Fisher River First Nation. He's down in Las Vegas at a big on-reserve trade show, but he hasn't forgotten why he started the company.
We have a lot of young people that need to have doors opened, and as elders we have to open those doors. We don't have to tell youth what to do. We just have to provide the opportunity that they can do anything they choose, and just never give up. There's more people telling you can't do something than people wanting you to do something.
I will definitely have to grab a bag for myself before they're all gone. That's all for tonight's edition of APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Daryl Stranger. Have a great night.